Good morning and welcome back to the Haven Financial Group radio show. I'm Larry Kallevig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. Celebrating our 10-year anniversary, Kim, this year. It's very exciting. I can't believe 10 years has gone by this fast. And helping people in all their retirement needs. And when I say all retirement needs, it's all the retirement puzzle pieces, the coordination of your taxes and your investments and your insurance and your estate planning and your Medicare and healthcare. All these should be coordinated, and thankfully, we do offer these under the same roof, even though they don't have to be. And we enjoy talking about it every week, don't we, Kim?
We certainly do. And congratulations on 10 very successful years. And I'm hoping if 20 more is what you want, then that's what you get. I think that all comes down to you answering some of these questions, right?
Well, Kim, my dad's still farming at 80, so I could very well be doing this.
We want to talk about key questions to focus your retirement income strategy on. For example, will your retirement income last as long as you need it to? Will it keep up with inflation? Is it protected from market downturns? These are just some of the questions that retirees really need to consider as they move into those golden years, or pre-retirees need to think about as they put together their strategies. So let's talk, Larry, a little bit about some of the things that people need to tackle before they make those final decisions. For example, Social Security, that's a really big one, and making decisions about when they want to draw.
It is a big one, Kim, and it's a good reason why our classes are so full almost every week when we offer these, because people want to learn, when do I take it? So many times over the years, people take it lightly and they just turn it on because that's what they think they're supposed to do when they hit 62 or when they immediately retire, which isn't necessarily the case. So we want people to put some thought into this. This is going to be an income stream that's going to be around for as long as you're here and as long as your spouse is here if you're married. And I know there's a lot of chatter out there on both sides. They're going to do away with the doom and gloom. Be careful with all that fear. They haven't taken away. They're not going to take it away. There could be some changes, so stay tuned, but who knows? Right. So when do you take it? At 62, full retirement, 70, it's an income stream. And if you're married, that higher one's going to remain when the first one passes. So you have to think about your spouse as much as when you decide if you're going to take that pension. You'll think of your spouse because statistically your spouse could live 10, 20 plus years, and they too want a lifestyle even though you might be gone.
Right. Absolutely. I know that a lot of people probably approach you hoping that you can give them a definitive answer, but really has so many factors associated with when you need to draw your Social Security.
Oh, most definitely. Are you going to work? Is it going to be part-time, full-time? Do you need the money? Do you have longevity in your family? Mm-hmm. The break-even point is usually about 10 to 12 years. So you got to factor that in. So when people say, when should I take it? Without knowing any of the facts, my answer is very simply, I have no clue. Well, you're really the expert, aren't you, Larry? Well, without knowing the answers to all these questions, it is impossible.
Sure.
And that's one income stream. And then the other part where we get was when folks get to the age of that retirement number of required minimum distributions, where maybe they haven't had to draw because they have other assets in those earlier years of retirement. Well, depending upon how old you are, was 70 and a half, it went to 72, it's now 73, and in 8 years it goes to 75. You're going to have to start drawing it out, and it's a percentage of the total that's in those pre-tax accounts. And so often when people get there, they go, Larry, well, we have more money now than we did when we were working as far as income. And now this is income if it's pre-tax. Mm-hmm. So you got to think of the tax ramifications, and it's why in the earlier years of retirement, we want to make sure we've done Roth conversions or other means of tax planning to minimize these tax implications when you get to that required minimum distribution. So that needs to be part of your planning process. Again, income is a great problem to have, but because a lot of times people like to complain that now they owe more taxes. So see how all this goes together? It really, really does. But income is truly the name of the game.
Yeah, it really is why it's so great to sit down with someone who can be a partner as you make these planning decisions, who is looking at it as holistic, Larry, which you guys do there at Haven. You're looking at the tax ramifications. You're looking for, the dates, the deadlines, which is something that somebody who's walking into retirement for the first time might not necessarily know. Let's talk a little bit about annuities and what that might mean to a retiree and what the benefits might be versus maybe some of the cons.
Yeah, a lot of times 401ks, if you look at your 401k statement, it may have a computation on the sheet that says, your balance is this, but if it turned into an annuity payment for whatever, it'll guarantee you this. And annuities, again, I teach a class. You can go to our website. I think I have one coming up in a couple months or in the next month, I think. Education is where it should start, because annuities have a good rap and a very bad rap. And there's 4 different types. There's immediate annuities, variable annuities, fixed annuities, and fixed indexed annuities. For the means of this segment, they can be used very successfully for income generation. Maybe you're not going to have a pension, like my wife and I won't have a pension. We can have an annuity that's designed for income that we can project out 10, 20, how many years you want. And they'll guarantee, when I say all annuities are through insurance companies. Insurance companies we may dislike, but they're the only ones that can guarantee certain guarantees that in the stock market or other things, no other companies can guarantee. With that in mind, we can create a self-directed pension with some available retirement funds, or it could be other type non-qualified funds, any type of funds really. And that's maybe a good way to develop your own self-directed pension if you're not going to have one. Now, understand the terms, understand the costs, understand what does that mean. If you're married, is there a spousal continuation? If so, get the facts. Sure. So often people jump into something, do not get the facts, and then find out they were talked into something or sold something that didn't perform the way it was supposed to. And we help people get out of annuities all the time, Kim, just for the fact they get into one of them and 3 years in and they go, man, we haven't made any money. Why isn't it? Yeah, and we'll show them, again, if you're listening and have an annuity, come on in and review it. And we'll break it down from, here's what you're paying. Did you know that? Here's the terms. Here's what could happen. Was this discussed? And I would say 75% of the time response that I get is, they never told us. We had no idea. That's where more questions are better than no questions or a few questions. And we want people to look at all the options, explore everything, and then figure out what makes the most sense for us in our situation. For some people, it's no annuities. Absolutely not. For others, it's we got plenty of income, but we want to be safe and we want some protected investments. Well, then maybe that makes sense. So sure. It sounds redundant, but it's not one glove fits all. Let's put everybody in the same thing. And I think of a newer client of mine last week. She came in 53, her husband's 59. They've done an excellent job preparing for retirement, even though she's only 53. She had an annuity that was designed for income, and they have all kinds of income streams, and that she was paying 3+%. And she goes, well, this doesn't make any sense. I wonder why they sold it to me. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to say anybody did anything wrong, but I have a pretty good idea on why they did.
Sure, absolutely. Listen, education. And if you have questions about maybe some existing investments you have, including annuities, the experts at Haven Financial Group can walk through that with you. Let's talk one more big question that I think you have to ask yourself and you have to figure out as you prepare for retirement, and that's health insurance. It's a big expense in those retirement years.
Yeah, healthcare, again, I say it over and over, people really underestimate the costs, and we buffer it into our planning. What all the insurance is going to be, and people go, that much? It's underestimated. It needs to be part of your plan, and then that could lead into long-term care as well. 50 to 70% of us are going to go into a nursing home. How is it going to be paid for? Looking at the options that are available, that Glenn Ramey and Isabella in our office, we offer everything that's out there, and there's newer stuff out there. People have no idea that is much more attractive than the old traditional long-term care that if you got them to pay, great, and then they raise the price every year, and very frustrating. So that's important. And if you're a listener that has life insurance, we're not here to say you need more life insurance, and maybe you don't need any life insurance. But if people are holding on to a lot of old life contracts, they haven't had them reviewed, and if you really should have a life insurance review, there's no cost for it, and you want to make sure it's going to do what you want. You've been paying it all these years. It'd be catastrophic to see what I see often, that the balance has eaten itself up, and now all of a sudden you don't have life insurance, and you were unaware, and surprise, that is not the surprise you were looking for.
Absolutely not. 612-504-8400. We're talking about retirement preparedness, and we're answering some of the questions and walking through some of the steps that pre-retirees, as well as those who are already in retirement, need to be thinking about. When we come back, your retirement timeline. Now, these are some of those very important dates in your life, those birthdays that mean something when it comes to retirement. And we're going to walk through what some of the real highlights, the real important ones are. This is the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.